DJ Sbu is not your ordinary or typical entrepreneur.
What do you think Sbu's gonna sell us next? I think he's close to selling us air, bruh.
He was born to be great and refuses to settle for less.
Let's say the DJ Sbus of this world.
Yeah.
I won't say the same about other DJs that are in your peer group, because from what I've observed, right, from your generation, you're the only one who actually has got a desire to end up being indebted to so. Because it's not just about you, it's not just about yourself.
In this day and age, we seem to be getting closer and closer to the notion of giving people their flowers while they can still smell them.
I'm extremely humbled and honored to be in your presence. I don't think you understand.
So I'll be using this book review video as an opportunity to not only let you know what you can learn from this book, The Art of Hustling, Sell or Surrender, but also to let you know about the author and the greatness and excellence that actually spans from his journey.
This podcast, it was 2 years, nothing was happening. You can even ask Tabang. Like, I was like, hey, boy, this thing is getting tiring now, you know? Because so much work goes into what the final product. So before I recorded with Sbu, I was like, even thinking like, if nothing happens this month when it comes to this podcasting thing, I need to reevaluate, sit down and see, okay, cool. Am I going back home to the farm?
To the popcorn machine.
You know what I'm saying? And then if you watch that interview, this stuff that he said, where I was like, fuck, it resonated with me. And that's what kept me going. So I called him to say, yo, thank you for that interview. I don't know, because I hardly ever do like interviews twice with someone. But for that one, I don't know why it happened, how it happened, but I needed to hear what Sbu said in that interview.
It was more for you.
Yes, because after that, I got a new lease of life. I was like, fuck, let's go. I even told Tavam, I'm like, dude, let's push, bro. You can't give up now. But I was literally like, I was out of gas. I was tired. I was like, hey, I'm doing this thing, nothing's happening.
Yeah.
What the fuck? And now that I look at it, had we stopped then,
Wouldn't be where we are now.
you know what I mean? Like Open View, Travis.
Yeah.
You know, the gin. We hadn't even launched the gin yet. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. So it was like, shit, man, let me call Sbu, because I don't know if I've told him this. And I just called him to tell him, thank you, man, for that interview.
Nice.
The best way for me to do this is to nibble and dabble into this book, Billionaire Under Construction, because it's a long form case study of DJ Sbu's profile, which we can summarize as follows. DJ Sbu, born Sbu 𝐷𝐿𝐿𝐿, is 43 years old at the time of recording this video. He's male, obviously. South African radio DJ and television presenter. He's an only child. He lived in Tembisa for much of his formative years. He also studied there at a primary school called 𝐼𝐿𝐿𝐿𝐿 Primary School in Tembisa and matriculated at Central Secondary School in Pretoria. He studied sound engineering at African Media University and also studied for 4 years electrical engineering at Technikon Witwatersrand. Sbu keeps a very tight circle of people around him, primarily his business partners and his mentors. It takes maturity, focused attention, and bold ambition to run and scale his businesses. From Leadership 2020, Massive Metro, More Fire, and Local Flame Beverages to Hustlers Academy, Sbu had to dig deep within himself in order to manifest his dreams. You know what? His profile is just too long for me to get into here. So rather, let's get back to my personal experience of him and then we get straight into the actual book review, which is why you're here at the end of the day. I first met DJ Sbu at the Leadership 2020 event in Sandton at Reed Genesis Business School. His guest was Gareth Cliff. They were talking about pivoting, and the examples obviously that they used was how they moved from the traditional radio space into the online radio space and how they are favored by this fourth industrial revolution. I particularly mentioned that because that's the day I met him for the first time, and that's the day that he actually signed my copy. I also got to see that his handwriting, DJ Sbu, but it's okay. Then the second time we met was at a Back to Kasi event hosted by a mentor of mine, 𝐿𝐿𝐿𝐿𝐿. DJ Sbu gave a riveting fire speech He spoke to the young people and entrepreneurs in the 𝐷𝐿𝐼𝐻𝑒 township, and I was lucky enough to also be one of the speakers on the day. The third time we met was essentially after my SAFM interview. He was there at the SABC studios as well, but it's kinda ironic given that SABC are the guys that fired him.
When I say Mo, I want everybody to say fire, Mo! It's Mo!
But he was there for an interview, I think with Radio 2000, or which would make it even more paradoxical, with Metro FM. But let's not get and delve much into those details. Yeah, ne. Let's rather get back to the book review. Before you actually take any book off the shelves, there has to be something that attracted you to grab the book. DJ Sbu uses his face on the cover. Obviously, he's a popular act, he's in the arts, he's in the media, and he's in the public space.
Yesterday was Saturday. Every single Saturday, DJ Sbu trends.
So it's easy for you to take the book because you also know what DJ Sbu stands for at the end of the day.
The reason why he's trending, the reason why he
Twitter,
trends on Twitter every single Saturday is because small businesses advertise under his name.
And it's something that DJ Sbu, I think, started with the hashtag DJ Sbu. Mention whatever business you want to push,
hashtag,
and I'll retweet, you know, because you have a platform.
The book itself was brought to you by Leadership 2020, and then Tracy McDonald Publishers are the guys that actually published the book so that we could actually have it in our hands. The book has a double-edged title, if I can call it that, because it's the art of hustling as one aspect of it, but the fact that it's about selling and surrendering yourself as an entrepreneur. The art of hustling, sell or surrender, those two aspects make it a capturing type of title, and that entices us more. And personally, it's something that enticed me more. The genre of the book is centered around business and entrepreneurship, but I must say, having read it twice, the things that gel and jump out of you in this book centered around mindset development, having a killer mindset, building your mindset, building your confidence, and actually then working around the structure of sales and selling and surrendering yourself to the process. In addition to just the genre itself, let's get into the structure of the book. The structure speaks to a short format that was used by DJ Sbu, whereby he wrote 56 short chapters, which means if you're the type of person that wants to get inspired each day, you can read a chapter a day for 56 days. But believe me, once you get into it and the motion and flow of the book, then you are likely to read it in like a week at most. Right? It's 56 short chapters, and then there are 176 pages. Those chapters themselves have clear headings, and that's why the approach in and of itself focused on a stand-alone chapter type of approach. Obviously, when we speak to the structure of the book, we also need to include the concise and precise table of contents, which include all 56 chapters of the book. We also have to look at the preface and the foreword of the book, and on page 177, DJ Sbu thanks Farai for the specific foreword that was written in this book. Then on the last page of the book is just the social media links, whereby the reader, if you like the book, you like the content, and you would like to follow the author, in this case being DJ Sbu, then you would follow or look at all those links and follow him on the various social media platforms. But it doesn't just end with him, but also this is a business related book, so all his businesses, the social media platforms and profiles for his businesses are also there, so one can also follow it. Another important aspect of this book is that it was easy to read, at least it was for me, because the storytelling was actually good. It came from the heart, given that DJ Sbu was literally orating his own personal and business related experiences in the book. And I didn't pick up any grammatical errors in this book. The approach that DJ Sbu uses is that it's a repetitive approach. He focuses on mindset and tries to provoke the reader's thinking by repeating and repeating it. It's as if he wrote a chapter a day. I stand to be corrected. Since I follow him on social media, I actually believe that he wrote a chapter a day, because in the mornings he'd use his social media platforms to encourage people using one of the topics or headings that have already been captured in the book that he authored. And obviously storytelling is one of those methods, those long tested methods whereby you are able to relay your message very easily, and storytelling through the use of his life experiences makes it that much easier for him. Another approach is that he has various platforms, and these platforms include his DJ Sbu YouTube channel, the Hustlers Corner YouTube channel, the Virtual Mkuku YouTube channel, as well as his social media platforms, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. He also engages with the people, the youth, people who are making moves, people who resonate with the way he thinks, the way his mindset is structured, and the way he operates, which is why I think he actually commented on 2 of my videos, which is something that really encouraged me and pushed me towards actually exposing the greatness of this man.
We don't give DJ Sbu enough credit. You know what I mean? What he did, the hustler's mentality that he brought into the...
Selling is towards the beginning of the book, and he touches a bit of it at the end of the book. But you know, the remarkable and best approach that he used for this book is that he read out his entire book via an ebook process, and it's posted on YouTube for all of those people that may not be encouraged to actually read the book but still want to consume that content as raw and classical as it is. He uses titles that encourage the reader to actually read further and go further and strive to know more and consume more from the author, which is DJ Sbu. Titles such as Create, Innovate, Disrupt, or other titles such as How to Become a Good Investor. Obviously, you'd want to actually jump in and know what exactly is it that would make you a good investor, or else how do you create, how do you innovate and disrupt in a space where things has followed a normalcy around the way in which they operate. Some topical commentary would be focused on his passion that moves from page to page, chapter to chapter, and actually resonates with the reader, or at least it did with me. Another topic of interest is the one that spans and speaks specifically to the topic of the book, The Art of Hustling, Sell or Surrender, where he shares the 5 steps for capturing a sale or making a good sale. I think on page 19, and that's like the impetus of the book more than anything else. Another interesting thing to note is that he shares transparently his wins and his losses. Wins including his business endeavors, More Fire, Massive Metro, Leadership 2020, the Hustlers Academy, and everything else. But his losses, the things that actually were a stepping stone to him moving forward and prospering within the wins that I mentioned earlier on, him being fired, him losing his relationship, him going through the most and losing his house and all his major assets at the time. But most importantly, also losing relationships and some of the networks that he had built through the building of his career, particularly those in the media and entertainment space. A couple of chapters actually stood out for me. One being the most obvious one. The title is just start. Just start. I mean, it speaks to the core of what I do, what this channel is all about, and me motivating and inspiring people to be the best versions of themselves.
In that case, it would have to be like DJ Sbu, dog. Because the nigga changed my life. So it's like, that's the only one where it's like, you know, it's gonna... It means something, you know.
Sure.
Me saying it starts with you.
And I say this all the time. Starting, is halfway being there. Because they're afraid to start. Now, let me tell you what happens. You're putting yourself in a deep end and you gotta get yourself out of it. But because you've started, you gotta finish what you've started. So because you've started, you're already ahead of everybody else. So you gotta start, Bantwana Basekai. Whatever your dream is, start right now.
Literally, that's why that chapter actually spoke to me. where he says you don't need to actually be someone to start. You don't need to fear failure. Yours is to rather fail forward. Start, strap up your boots and move forward. So that is one chapter that definitely stood out for me. Then the chapter that goes again, the core of the book on page 19, how to actually render a sale or make a sale or capture a sale or hustle your way into a sale. Obviously, because the book is meant to be around the sales process. Now, as a side note, I would have loved for him in this book to expand more, to speak more about selling, to speak more about negotiating, about deal making, about speaking with investors and young people actually selling themselves more. DJ Sbu, I would have loved for you to encapsulate those concepts and topics more in the book. Your focus on mindset, it's important and it's key. But if we're gonna call a book Sell or Surrender, then it has to be more than just mindset. It has to be ways, actual, practical, pragmatic, implementable ways of actually winning when making a sale. Not just in the product space, such as the examples you make a lot of, but also in the service space, where people engage and actually deal with business to business interactions and business to customer interactions. So just a consideration if you are going to delve again into a similar book, DJ Sbu, that's just my point of positive criticism coming your way. 2 additional chapters actually stood out for me. One is on page 51. Every no leads you to a yes, where he works and molds your mindset. He works on you actually not staying down when you get knocked down. But another significant chapter that stood out for me is the chapter that states that success is not a straight line. You, if you're watching this as a YouTuber, you can relate. Some of us have had to be on this platform for more than a year or for years, depending on where your journey is actually pointed. But it's not a straight line, so never give up. Never actually be captured by failure, and never forget your impetus and your purpose for doing a particular thing. So those are the chapters that stood out for me in this book. There's a paragraph from Farai's Forward that actually stood out a lot to me, and it reads as follows. In Sbusiso's rise, he is lifting an entire generation, taking with him the forgotten sons and daughters of Africa, who are marginalized and who often end up just as numbers of line items on the financial statements of multinational corporations. Seen through the single lens of just the customer base, Sbusiso is challenging and inspiring unemployed university graduates, embittered street kids, and disenchanted youth to rise above the curse of just being a consumer base and instead become what he terms young African industrialists. Because, after all, we are the ones we've been waiting for. And as you read this book, remember, it always seems impossible until it is done. Sbusiso is a testament to this. Thank you for sticking around until the end. I appreciate you. I love you. I hope that you'll actually go out and buy the book. Work on your mindset. Build your ability to sell. Build your business acumen, your salesman prowess. I hope you'll actually take advantage of such books and actually go towards buying similar books. Go to DJ Sbu YouTube channel and actually listen to the audio book, which, as I've said, he narrates himself. 5.5 hours of you just listening to DJ Sbu mold and build your mind. Like, subscribe, press the notification bell, and comment. Maybe there's things that I said in here that you don't like, or maybe you just favor the way in which I did this book review, and I'd appreciate a positive comment or any other positive feedback and criticism, if there be any criticism around my style of video. And then check out some of my other additional videos, see what you can learn, what you can encapsulate, particularly the other book reviews that I've done on this channel as well. It starts with you, remember that. Cheers.